This is Saida Garrett, and I'm tuned in to Intro to Info with my girl Mikeisha.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's the Flowist is here, and I'm tuned in to Intro to Info with my girl Mikeisha. All love, always.
Welcome to today's episode of Intro to Info. I'm your gracious host, Mikeisha. Literally just ran in the house. My hair is a mess. I had to put on a cap and a scarf. This is the real story time. This is you getting me and just running from Howard University straight to be on the show. I'm very excited for our special guest. Hello, Samika, who hosts the show with me. Hello, Stitchy Smurf, who's the fantastic producer. We appreciate your listenership, whether you're listening live or in rewind. We are here every Wednesday from 9 until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right here on the J King Network. Huh? What did I say? Wednesday? Did I say on Thursday? What did I say?
Yes, that's because you're preparing in advance. But Thursday, all day, but Thursday evening, Pacific, we're good.
You guys got to forgive me. I had a student who had an emergency and I'm just running in. But this is going to be a fantastic show. I was enthralled by me and our special guests Zoom call, just his wealth of knowledge and what he's going to share with us tonight. I hope that it inspires you. Feel free to comment in the chat room. But tonight, our special guest, his name is Mr. Philip Bear. And the conflict whisperer is what he calls himself. And he's an author and he's much more. He does counseling. And so, Philip, thank you so much for being our special guest this evening. Welcome.
Hey, what a treat to be here. Thanks for hosting me over here.
You're welcome. Hi, Tamika. Why can't I hear you? You on mute, Tamika.
You're on mute, sister.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? Hello. Thank you. Welcome. We love having you here tonight and looking forward to learning something new.
Absolutely. And so, Philip, whatever I missed, what do you want the audience to know about what it is that you do and who it is that you are?
So you're asking who I am and what do I do? Okay. Where's a good starting point? So I'm living in British Columbia in Canada, and my story is one of growing up in a family where there's a great deal of dysfunction. And in order to deal with the dysfunctional residues and all the crap that came along with me, I eventually found someone in Florida who helped me do that. 20 years of counseling before that didn't do very much. And I've taken that system that helped me so much and that it did 20 years worth of counseling in a single week, plus all the other weeks that came after that. So I've distilled that and shaped it into something that's expansive and shares from a lot of different inspired people. And I use it. It makes me uncomfortable, even though I'm trying my hardest to disconnect from other people's discomfort. When I see other people in pain, when I see other people struggling, and I know that it doesn't need to be that way because I understand where the solution lies, I'm driven to help people arrive, if they're open to it, at solutions that are going to help them shift the quality of their day-to-day experience. And I've been doing that in a counseling capacity for probably 15 years now. and overlapping with that 5 or so years of mediation and conflict resolution, prevention, just making conflict go away.
Nice. And so that 15 years, that's experience. I'm sure that you've done a lot, seen a lot, learned a lot, and almost have case studies as to human nature. And I can't wait to just pick your brain. Now, Nicole Snitchy Smurf, our fabulous producer, has told me that we do have a video that we're going to be sharing before we get into our questions. And so it's now the appropriate time, Snitchy.
I would think if we're all in agreement for yes, its runtime is a little over 9 minutes, but it's definitely something I think we will all enjoy. And if you're ready, I'm ready to present it. Yes.
Well, as Arsenio said, kick it.
All right.
So at 1 week old, there's nothing that we can do for ourselves. Like, at best, we can turn towards the nipple when we get a little sensation on our cheek, and we can latch on to our mother's breast, and to express displeasure, we can cry. But there's not much else where we might be able to grip onto a person's finger. But apart from that, there's almost nothing that we can do to protect ourselves. So if we start to get hungry or thirsty, and we search around for a parent's breast or for a bottle or for something to nourish us, and there's nothing there, we're going to start expressing our distress. And when we're in healthy circumstances, someone is going to respond. They're going to give us the nourishment that we need. But in those cases where no one was available to give us the nourishment, to soothe us if a balloon burst nearby, or a dog started barking, or there was loud noise, or something scratched us, or stung us, or it's getting too hot or too cold, if we stay in that state and we begin crying because we're uncomfortable and no one comes to help us alleviate that discomfort and to help us to re-regulate our system back to a state where there's no activation, we're going to become increasingly panicked. And the situation becomes quite desperate quite quickly, as I'll show you shortly. One of the things that is going on in that place that we're that young is we don't know anything about the world. We simply have only been around for a week or however long it is, and so we don't know that eventually the parent is going to come if we're in a healthy environment. That they may be in the washroom, they may be taking a shower, they may be having a conversation on the phone, they may be dealing with one of our siblings, someone might be in crisis, and they're the priority for being taken care of at that particular moment. But from our perspective, we've got no way of knowing that the parent will ever come back, because why? Like, where will we get that idea from? We haven't been alive long enough to build up a repository of information that says, just wait a few minutes, everything's going to be okay. It's not. When we're in that young stage, nothing is going to be okay. When the parent is not available, it's a life-threatening situation. All of the alarms in our system go off. We go into panic mode. It's absolute crisis, because from our perspective, we're dead. Like, this is the end. And to discover an artifact of what this looks like 12 months later when we're 1 year old, I was looking for something that would show me what this looks like, because I came from a place where I speculated and hypothesized that this might be the case. And then one day I'm looking through some sites on psychology, and I come across this video that is called the still face experiment. And what I get to see in the still face experiment is a child brought into a laboratory situation, and the child's 1 year old, and a really sweet looking young girl, and she and her mom are in the laboratory, and they're playing and they're engaging and they're interacting, they're having this delightful time with one another. But unbeknownst to the child, the mother has this instruction that the moment that there's a rap on the one-way mirror and there's a camera behind that mirror, So 1-year-olds don't know anything about this, but the mom knows exactly what's going on. She's taken her child in the interests of science to help in this experiment to find out about behavior of human beings by looking at this relationship between the child and the mom. So the mom's instruction is to, once she hears the rap on the window, stop interacting, stop giving facial feedback to your child, and we're going to film what happens. Well, take a look at what happens, because it's absolutely fascinating. Take a look, and it's only 2 minutes long. Many people find it quite distressing to watch this video. But notice in the video, in under 2 minutes, how much distress a young girl expresses, or how much distress we get to see her in, even though her mom is only that far away from her. They're that far apart, and yet this little girl shows us with that experience of the 1-week-old. And this is at 1 year old, so it's still in her body, that experience, that knowledge that once mom breaks off contact, I may never be able to restore that contact again. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to smile. I'm going to engage. I'm going to do all the things that my mom thought cute 2 minutes earlier. And when that doesn't work, and I start to panic, I go into crisis, because the pleasant things that I do haven't re-engaged my mom, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get her back. I start to express, I go into crying, I go into panicking, I go into looking away. My whole body starts to tell a story of how terrifying the experience is for me. And the reason I show you this movie, this little video clip, is because that trauma that the little girl that you will see experiencing, that trauma that she experiences, and they've done this experiment millions of times, and her behavior is consistent with what almost every healthy child will do. So what we know is that as children, when we experience disconnection, that sets off all alarms. It's a traumatic experience for us. The longer the duration and the less healing that it occurs afterwards, the more trauma is going to get trapped in the cellular memory that we carry for the rest of our lives. And it's that cellular memory from 1 week old, 1 day old, all the way through when we were depending on our parents and they weren't available for us. Layer upon layer upon layer of experience when we couldn't get our parents when we were in distress. That is what makes us so vulnerable, so susceptible to any kind of disconnectedness, to loss of belonging, to rejection, isolation, humiliation, ostracization. I'm probably repeating things by this point. We are supremely vulnerable to that, and these things cause us as much pain as the pain that we experience when a burning house collapses on top of us. So take a look at this video.
In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about 1 year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it. They actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
And it begins that early in life.
Oh yeah. So that what this part of the video doesn't show us is what happens from then on. So my premise is that no matter how excellent our parents have been in terms of giving us attention and for being there when we're in emotional distress or physical distress, there are always going to be times when our parents weren't able to be there for us, and where we would have gone through those experiences of no one's meeting me, and my nervous system's telling me that I'm going to die. So, every human being, in my opinion, is carrying post-traumatic stress to some degree that's underneath any other kind of thing that happened to us subsequently in our lives. And the huge place where this is important is that it makes us very susceptible to people being rejective, to not accepting us, to anything that someone does that gives us the message that I'm not okay, that I'm not lovable, that there's something not okay, or there's something wrong with me. And it takes almost nothing to trigger me in from being an adult into reverting back to that little 1-year old where um, where I'm just overwhelmed by the hugeness of, like, it could be something, someone says something that's critical, that's something that's judgmental, or something that just tells me that they don't respect me, and my nervous system will interpret every single one of those things as something deeply, deeply, deeply stressful and traumatic.
Wow. So I wanted to also ask, so what can a mother do, or a father do, or a family member do in those brand new moments when the little one just arrives? Is there something that you could do to begin the process of learning, like, sooner, that I'm here with you even though if I have to leave the room? Like, is there a way to convey that to a brand new little one early on?
So to the extent, we can't control it if we're already doing the best that we can. Like, by doing the best that we can, there's still going to be times when the child has that experience. When the child has that experience, they need validation. They need to know that, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you went through that experience." So letting them know that you acknowledge how hard it was for them, letting them know that it wasn't because of them, that they didn't cause you to not be available, and that you care for them and that you love them. And so really it's about how good can I get at creating repair, because I know that this is going to be happening to my child. So can I be an excellent repairer? And can I minimize the number of frequencies that this is happening? And it can happen while you're in the room. Like a parent who loses attention on the child because they're looking at their phone or another device, or someone who's stressed out in their relationship, is not going to be, the child's not going to feel their presence. Child's not going to feel that attention. And it's that attention when it doesn't have to be 100% of the time, but it needs to be as close to 100% of the time when the child needs it, which is quite a juggling challenge. I grew up in a family where my brother was born 13 months after I was. And so my mom's attention was on the newest child. And so this is deeply painful for me. It was like, usually I'm okay when I watch this, but today it really hit me, because like, I once he was born, like, I was the firstborn, I had all the attention in the world while I was the only child. But as soon as my brother came along, that all evaporated. And so, like, this firsthand experience of how stressful it is to just not be able to get that parental attention.
Wow, this is very deep, and like you said, it starts there, but we continue. Philip, when you and I were on that Zoom call, you said that we're still children as adults. Like, we still, if we're faced with the wrong thing, we revert right back to how we would react as a child. And I just find it to be so interesting, because you can see that sometimes the most mature person in the setting that triggers them to revert back to childhood, you can see it happen almost instantaneously if they're triggered to that point. And I just thank you for teaching me that. I want you to elaborate on, that subject matter we talked about on that Zoom call, please.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, like, what I wish we'd done before is give people more of a trigger warning that we were going to be showing them such like thing that could stress out so many people. So what I can share about this experience is that since the pain is so intense from the perspective as the young child, we'll do anything to avoid situations that are going to lead us to experiencing that same quality of felt abandonment, felt neglect, felt rejection that we did when we had that baby, when we were that child. And so we adapt who we are to try and please the people that we seek connection from. So without even knowing it, so much of my effort as a child goes into being a good boy or a good girl, a good child, because I don't want to antagonize the caregivers, because if I do, they're not going to give me that attention. They may not give me that attention anyway because they got their own agenda, but I don't want to make it any worse. So I'm strongly motivated to only, and this is where it gets interesting, not just to be as good and as lovable as I can make myself, but to really hide any part of myself that the adults around me tell me are things that they're not pleased with. So if they're not happy with my anger or my rage or my neediness, I'm going to try and shuffle my neediness, my anger, whatever it is that they're not whatever it is that they don't encourage, anything that they discourage or punish me for, stops being part of Philip. I hide it away. I try to make it go somewhere else. And so what we get, and I'm not the only one doing that, we all do this. What we get is human beings who have 100% of all the things that a person can be is born into them when they coming out of the womb. We just bring everything with us. That's my belief. But by the time we're a few months old, we've learned that 50% of who we are, we're not allowed to show, because those are things that are going to make our parents feel uncomfortable with us. So, is that making sense?
It makes such sense. And it just reminds me of how from the beginning, that connectivity is what we're here for in the first place. And the way that the child is able to try to vie for the attention of the parent, even at that young. And that just continues throughout life. We long and yearn for the attention of, the validation of those who mean the most to us, our loved ones. And just to know that it starts so young. I'm sorry to keep harping on that, but it is just fascinating, because two things a child knows how to do when they first come into the world, is eat and go to the bathroom. Instinctively, but before they know how to do that when they get here, but they also know how to try to get the attention of their parents. This is very interesting, Philip.
Yeah, and this is the reason why, because that connectiveness is the life thread. It's like the umbilical cord that's there after the umbilical cord's cut. This is how we create safety for ourselves, and it makes life super, super easy, because now when I'm looking at mediation situations and I'm looking at conflict between people, there's only one thing that I need to look for. I need to look for whether something is connective or disconnective. Did someone say something that, and was the thing they said connective or disconnected? Did they do something, was it connective or disconnected? The way they looked, the amount they paid, the speed they were moving, is it connective, disconnected? Everything goes through that very, very simple filter. And that's really how we navigate through life. We can leave out all the other stuff, like mega volumes of psychology have been written about how complex the human psyche is. But when you drill it down to like the fundamental basics, connected, not connected, it's really where everything sits.
I would love examples.
I've got a list over here, and I think you can make this available to your viewers later on. But I'm looking at a list of things that are connective in a majority of families, let's say. So when I'm capable, if that's something that's valued by my parents, they're going to be receptive and accepting towards me. Whereas when I'm not capable, when I'm useless, my parents are going to be much more rejective. And so I'm going to hide my uselessness because they're not giving me attention when I'm being useless. Or I've got the dichotomy between brilliant or idiot. So whenever I show the idiot side, like we all have a useless side, we all have an idiot side, we all have an incompetent side, and argumentative, disobedient. If those are things that get discouraged, anytime that I show those pieces, I get the message from the people who are supposed to be taking care of me that it's not okay. And the way that I know that is because they're slightly pulling away from me. And I'm so sensitive because that initial trauma was so painful that I'm looking like every one of us is looking it's like we're looking through a magnifying glass at the world we're living in without even being aware that we're doing it. And we're looking for these tiny little clues. And so when I wake up in the morning, one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to brush my teeth. Now, dental hygiene is one of the reasons that I brush my teeth. But the other reason is because the moment that I show up with dark teeth, or the moment that I show up with foul breath, people are going to be rejective towards me. And so it's imperative for me to brush my teeth. It's imperative for me to wear clothing that's appropriate for the environment, the cultural environment I live in. Mm-hmm. Imperative for me to earn a certain amount of money and live in a certain kind of home and do all the kind of things that buys me connectedness and belonging with the people who I want to belong to. And I've just expanded it from the one-to-one with our parent to the more universal, more connected with our community, where it becomes a connection, but a belonging connection rather than a one-on-one style of connection like in a relationship.
Okay. Me, in the role that I'm in, I started to see a pattern, Philip, of children who would act out. I saw that they were either in a toxic household, a parent was missing. They went through the foster care system. Not in every case, but I did see a trend of that big time. What do you say to that?
Okay, so almost everything that they're doing is alerting us to the distress that they're experiencing from not being connection worthy. So either they can't get connection, or there's that connection worthiness piece. And so they're acting out because they're trying to draw attention. They're trying to get us to connect. So let's go back to the example of Philip and my brother. When we were infants, if I wanted my mom's attention because her attention was on my brother, I needed to do something in order to grab her attention, and I was pretty limited as a 1-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned very quickly is if I can torment my brother and I can make him cry, and this is a 1-year-old's logic.
Wow.
This was not like a university level thinking. This was like 1-year-old thinking. If I can hurt him and he cries, then eventually, once my mom has soothed him, she's going to come over and she's going to, I don't know what North American version of it is because I grew up in South Africa, but she's going to hit me and punish me for doing that. But I got the connection. So it was maladaptive connection. It was a dysfunctional connection, but I eventually got the connection that I was seeking. And the fact that she had me on her lap and was slapping my bottom was connective, even though at the same, like, you can just imagine the kind of confusion I had about love and pain that comes out of that kind of a relationship. But a lot of the reason that those people that you work with and that you help, the reason for them acting in the way that they do, look underneath it and you'll find this attachment piece, you'll find this connectiveness piece that they're seeking behind that behavior.
What about people who, when it comes to relationships, they jump from person to person? They can't be alone. What is that about? Like, not even for, I just broke up yesterday, I'm on Plenty of Fish today. What is that all about?
Okay, so there's the healthy version of the seeking a partner through a dating app, and there's the codependency one, which is something that I developed as a result of my thing. What we're doing is we're looking for someone to feel connected with, because the pain of not being connected is so uncomfortable, because it's taking us back to that trauma, memory, PTSD pain that we used to have. So the moment that, and it starts often before someone ends up on a dating app, which is when a person is in a relationship, but they're not, like, when a person goes into a relationship, the unspoken agreement is that I'm going to be the replacement for mommy or daddy. I'm going to be the person that you connect with.
Wow.
Your reference point for connectedness. And when that breaks down, because they've been together long enough in the relationship where they're not able to meet one another's needs, and things about each person irritate or disappoint or uncomfortable, they will start separating from one another, and the pain will go up. And when we see situations where people are cheating on their partner, I cut people slack in some ways, because I understand that that's coming from the urgency of finding connectedness that they couldn't find in the relationship that they'd chosen. Now, it's not fair, it's not cool, it's not the healthy way of doing things, but we can understand what drives people to do that.
And I was going to ask you about cheating. A lot of times, is it the feeling of the having multiple partners, or is it could be an amalgamation of a lot of reasons why people cheat? But you just brought out something. Queen of Hearts joins us. Hi, dear. How you doing?
I'm here, tired, but I'm here.
I heard that Philip is dropping a lot of jewels here, and we're talking about cheating, right? And Philip has his reasons why people cheat. So let's kind of go down the gamut, because this particular subject I'm very interested in, as to why it happens, what it's all about. Talk to us.
So simple. Like, when someone's cheating, I can say almost 100% of the time, though bring me examples where it's not, the person is not getting their connective needs met within the relationship that they're in. And it's not that it's intellectual. It's not that they're unhappy at a cognitive level. It's that deep child part of them that feels that same pain that they felt when they were that tiny little child. And it just overrides our rational minds and takes us into places where we'll do things where even when rationally we know that it's an absolutely terrible idea, we can't stop ourselves. It's almost like an addictive kind of pattern where the substance provides us with relief. And in the case with a lot of cheating and a lot of the stuff with seeking relationship, one new relationship as soon as the other one's done, that's being driven because it's almost an addiction to sourcing that connectedness from another person. Now, the piece that replaces this, because it's important to say, like, so what's the alternative?
Mm-hmm.
How do we break the cycle? How do we get out of this pattern that as soon as I'm feeling disconnected, I need someone else to meet me in that place of connection? And the thing that takes decades of work is sourcing that connectedness, not from someone outside of myself, but being able to source it from within. But in order to do that, I need to be able to love myself unconditionally. I need to remember I told you earlier on that we learn very quickly that there's 50% of my character traits that are encouraged, my kindness, consideration, sensitivity, gentleness, forgiving, like all of these things are likely to be encouraged, but being ruthless, being cruel, inconsiderate, a bully are things that are discouraged. In order for me to be able to turn myself into someone who can get love from himself, I need to be able to own and to love the ruthlessness of Philip's cruelty, his lack of consideration, the bully. I need to go from hating those parts of me to loving them, and then I'm no longer dependent on someone else outside of me to be the source of love. I can just be self-referenced with love. Now, I'd rather have a partner, but I'm not dependent on it in the same way.
And one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of the people who jump from person to person, there's a void somewhere else. Either there's somebody missing, like a parent, or it's some type of void in another area of their life with regard to a person. Not every time, but it's just an observation. Then I went out, and part two in that is when you mentioned cheating, you said almost 100% of the time it's due to, like, it's a connectivity thing. So how often is it in our community, Philip, we say, how many bodies can I get? A lot of times men just want to see how many women they can get. How often is it that with regard to cheating?
Okay, so part of the reason why we see that phenomenon is because it's so hard for men to experience emotional intimacy. And women don't get off the hook for this because a lot of the education that young men get is from their moms and from female teachers. And so adult males and females contribute because this is a cultural thing. But especially in communities where we don't teach boys that it's okay to be emotionally vulnerable, physically vulnerable, where touch is not encouraged, where talking emotion, like you can't be intimate unless you can talk about emotions. And one of the hardest things about being a boy or a man is having the emotional expression delegitimized and knocked out of you, and you get tormented for showing those vulnerable parts of yourself. So it makes sense then that it's incredibly hard for men to find meaningful connection, even with their partners, and the only place where there's any kind of break in this is through sex. Like, when you're being sexual, you can be vulnerable. Like, you've got this little space that if you can fit all your need for connectivity into that space of sexuality, that's the only place where you get any kind of of connectedness whatsoever as a man. Does that make any, like, does that resonate with your experiences?
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to hear from your professional experience. Queen of Hearts, are you shaking your head? Anything on
Mm-hmm.
that?
I just recently watched a movie, and the guy in that movie relayed exactly what Mr. Phillips stated. He said that the reason why he cheated on his wife is due to she became so busy till she forgot the little things, like how he liked certain things certain ways, and then when he said he wasn't able to feel like a man wholeheartedly anymore because she was taking away a lot of, like he stated earlier, Mr. Phillips stated, took away some things that he valued the most from out of that relationship. And when he wanted to express himself, she always muted him. So, like you stated, the vulnerability part, he couldn't even be vulnerable or open or express himself to his wife because she always muted him due to being so busy. She had to go to work. She had to take care of the kids, da 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 da. So he found somebody who paid attention to him, who listened to him, who enjoyed his jokes. Everything that his wife used to show and give him, he found somebody else that was filling that void that he wasn't getting at home. And that's why he kept on, it got easier and easier the more he kept spending more time with the other lady versus, you know, at home. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and while I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, okay, so um, what do we do in the community to try and make it safe? Because the the if we want to hone down on what the problem is, it's men don't feel safe to be able to relate in a connective way. So what can we do collectively to make it safe for boys and men to grow up and to be men, knowing that it's safe to emote, knowing that whatever it is that they do, the community is going to hold them, and they're not going to get teased or rejected or isolated for showing that part of them, that's the vulnerable part, for getting their connective needs met in ways that are softer than the whole macho kind of thing that so many men are taught.
I teach my son, and like you stated earlier, Mr. Phillips, it starts at home. It starts with the parents and it starts with mom. And I tell my son all the time, I cannot teach you how to be a man, but I can teach you as a man how to treat and take care of a woman, how to respect that woman, how to respect her peace. When she needs time to herself, understand why she need that. If she's on a menstrual, don't get angry because she's going to be going through an emotional roller coaster. You got to understand, and you might have to be there to go to the store and buy her personal items for her. Don't feel so macho that you can't, because she's going to be leaning on you at that time. She's really going to be very vulnerable at that moment. So I tell him, and also how to suppress your emotions, because you're going to see other pretty flowers floating around there, But when you're exclusive, I said, one thing we need to start teaching our young men and women: don't be exclusive to someone that you have not said I do to, because people always talking about, oh, he cheated on me, but y'all only dating. He's not married to you, or she's not married to you. So don't be looking for that person to be exclusive to you if they're not committed and have your last name. So I told him, respect that lady, talk to her up front, lay down what you want out of that relationship, set boundaries in that relationship. And once y'all establish that, then everything should run smoothly from that point on. But don't go in there looking for something perfect, because you coming in with your background totally different, what you was taught, your morals different, how you was loved, how you learn how to love is going to be totally different from your partner. But y'all have to communicate, come to an understanding, um, build from that point on, and respect each other.
Yeah. And like, I'm a utopian, so I'm always looking for like, what utopian kind of things can we do? And I'm just imagining, like, wouldn't it be so cool if a group of moms and dads were able to get together and uh, and practice being vulnerable, practice talking about emotions,
Yeah.
and then teach kids as a group how to talk about how they're feeling, so that young males have that experience of seeing it modeled and being in an environment where it's safe to do that, but where they see their peers doing it as well. So they get to see that anybody in the group can share and nothing terrible is going to happen to them. Because that's what they learn in today's culture. Something terrible is going to happen if I talk about my emotions, if I'm vulnerable, if I allow myself to be too soft.
And Mikeisha, that's where a lot of them now they say we listen and we don't judge in a judgment-free zone. So they are trying to start building that, but it needs to be how you say it, practice
Normalize.
more or taught more. You know, everybody need to be taught. We go listen, don't judge, come open up, speak freely in a judgment-free zone. Because we so quickly to judge from the outer before we learn about the inner. Yeah.
Yeah. There's this quote that says, "Be curious, not judgmental. Find out why. Don't judge. Find out why what drove them to do things." Philip, I know you were going to speak. Please.
Okay, so we can talk about what judgment is. So judgment is a projection of shame. So, and it's an amazing tool when you learn to use it that way. So when I judge a person for being fat, let's say, what I'm really telling people is that I'm not comfortable. I feel shame around my body image. Like, if I tell someone I judge them on their intelligence, what I'm telling the world, and I'm not doing this consciously, my nervous system's doing this. What I'm really saying is I don't feel confident in my own intelligence. So what I'm doing is I'm projecting my own shame about my own intelligence, about my own body image, about my own violence, about my own ability to get along with people. I'm projecting it outwards, and what I'm broadcasting to the world is, without knowing it, because I never do it knowingly. And this is the big thing: is once we see ourselves judging, it's like, oh, okay, now I can look back on myself. It's like, if I had that judgment, can I go back and look and see what it is that I'm uncomfortable with in myself? And then can I turn it around so I can fall in love with that part of myself?
What I'm getting from this interview is that the things that we just do consciously all have a root in something that is festering. That's like rooted. That's what I'm getting. Everything has a source. Nothing is done just because.
Okay, so, and that's probably because if someone's watching on the video, they're only seeing one of you. But that's not the reality. There's two of you. There's the part of you that you're well aware of, that each of us is well aware of, which is the part where I'm throwing out the words. I'm in control, I've got intention, I'm driving the car. And then there's the other part, which is my nervous system driving the car. And my nervous system is separate, like it's in the same container, but it's a separate operating system. And the main assignment of my nervous system is to keep me alive. So if my nervous system says cheat on your partner, it's going to have an argument with the cerebral part of me.
Mm-hmm.
But the nervous system in a lot of cases is going to be the thing that wins, because it's trying to get my needs met. It exerts so much more force than what my controlling brain is going to do. And once we become aware of that, and we get to become observers of our actions, often through the eyes of someone else, because we're blind to who we are and what we're doing. Our partners, our kids are incredible reflections of what our nervous system is up to. They'll call us on this. Our friends will let us know, if they can be honest with us, what it is that our nervous system's doing. And so often they're working in opposite directions. The nervous system will be doing things to keep us alive, and we can't stop it. We don't want it to stop. We want to retrain it so that it learns to seek safety without doing the things that compromise the cerebral valued part of ourselves that we want the world to see.
So at all times, there are two things going on in our minds simultaneously, at least two, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's almost two completely different systems. So take one of them out of your mind, like leave the stuff that's already in your mind, and then imagine your nervous systems all throughout your body. So what your nervous system, the way that I like to look at it, is my nervous system is looking out for danger. It uses my eyes. Listens out for danger with my ears. It tastes danger. It smells danger. It feels danger tactily, and it sends the information through the nerves to a part of my brain, and then it responds. And so, like, there's the stuff going on in my brain, in my way of looking at it, that's all the thought process and the things that I'm trying to project into the world. And then the rest of my system and the rest of my body, which is like doing all the kind of stuff that it does. And these two pieces have a hard time talking to one another. And part of the challenge of being educated, wise, loving, self-loving person is harmonizing those two, is trying to get them to operate together and to be able to have clean conversations with one another.
Right, because I feel like the nervous system doesn't always need to defend us. Like if we're just sitting down drinking a glass of water in our house by ourselves, why do you feel like we could possibly be in danger? But if you don't see any around, why can't you just relax?
So if the reason it's looking for danger is so that you can relax. If it can spot the danger, like if it knows that it can spot the danger, then you get to be in a relaxed mode. But it's always on watch, always checking.
Wow. That is something else. I know we're coming to the top of the hour, and I know Snitchy has to join the journey. If you want to stay in touch with Philip and see what he's doing, we have the join the journey image here. His website's there, his socials are there. I just have enjoyed picking his brain. I don't want this to end. I want to keep in touch with you because you talk about psychology from just another next level stance, and I appreciate your time. The wealth of knowledge you have exudes itself and it shows, and we thank you for this hour of your time. Now, anything else that you want our audience to know before we end?
That I have enjoyed the conversation, and I'm so honored that you have been willing to share your time with me and to share this with the audience. And my recommendation, like I've said, 10 years worth of training stuff in under an hour. So I'd like your viewership, like go back, watch the video 10 times if you have to. Every time you'll glean more and more stuff, because it builds up in layers. Something that you heard the second time will make the third time something else will make sense. So just go back and listen over and over. It's online. Everybody's welcome to keep checking it out. And thank you.
Thank you, Philip, so much for being our special guest this evening. You all have been tuned into Intro to Info with your host, Mikeisha, Queen of Hearts and Tam. We're here every Thursday from 9 until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You all be good, and we will see you next time right here on the J King Network. Good night.
Good night.